And now we turn to our local legislative delegation. Following Thursday night, we have, of course, Representatives Dan Howell, Kevin Raper, and State Senator Adam Lowe. And Dan, I want to begin with you and want to go back to Thursday night. Just your impressions of being in the chamber that evening.
Thank you, Steve. It's good to be with you this morning,
Thank
and
you,
I
sir.
appreciate the speaker and the things he had to say. If I could just tag on to something he said about the school safety bill. It's interesting, as we ran that bill, we had a regular session that morning. We had a calendar of about 25 bills. And, of course, about the 10th one in. In fact, I had just finished passing the infrastructure bill on the floor and had headed back to my desk when all of this exploded. But it's interesting, one of the bills that we passed that morning was the school safety bill that the speaker just mentioned a moment ago. And it was a bipartisan vote. I watched the board very closely to see who was going to vote against it because there was tension in the air. It's interesting that the three people we've been discussing this morning voted against the school safety bill. All of their colleagues voted for it. So it's interesting that they talk about school safety, but if it doesn't include the confiscation of your weapons, then they will vote against that bill. That was my perception of that. And I've had a lot of emails, texts, phone calls, hate mail, you name it, as my colleagues have. Over the past few days. And one of the things that keeps coming up, they say, what you did was unconstitutional. I just want to set the record straight. Tennessee Constitution clearly says in Article 2, Section 12, that the bodies of the Tennessee legislature, House and Senate, have the constitutional authority to set their own rules and to punish and expel unruly members who do not abide by the rules. That's interesting, and I won't talk too much. I'll let my colleagues talk. It's interesting that one of those three, Justin Jones, made the comment to a group of colleagues. We were not in session. It was during this fiasco that we had. He made the comment, some had told him that he had disobeyed the House rules. And his comment was, well, the rules don't apply to me because I didn't vote for the rules. Well, that's like saying I'm not going to obey the law because I didn't vote for the sheriff. It's just nonsense. And the House of Representatives and the Senate have been around for 227 years. Whichever political party is in control of that House sets the rules. So for 140 years, the Democrats set and voted on their rules by majority. We've been in control, the Republicans, since about 12 years now, I believe. We're doing the same thing that they did. We set the rules and vote on it by majority. We all abide by them, Republican and Democrat. But when you have a situation where they say the rules don't apply to me, then you're going down the road toward anarchy. And that's why they had to be dealt with. And that's why I voted to expel them.
Representative Kevin Raper.
Yes, sir.
Same question.
Yes, sir. I'll take off a little bit on what Representative Howell said. I'm going to take off a little bit more on the rules of decorum. He had mentioned the state constitution, which allows expulsion and so on. One of the misleading facts about this is the fact that they have violated rules of decorum numbers and numbers of times. And this is not only on the House floor, that this is in committee. That at numbers of times this will happen, whether you're talking about the chair lady or chairman of the committee, or whether you're talking about Speaker Sexton. They will speak out order. For example, we just got through discussing a bill over Duck River. So we may be on Duck River, and then all at once they'll be recognized, they'll stand up, and then they'll talk about abortion. They'll talk about gun laws, and Speaker Sexton will kill their mic, and he'll say, listen, I need you to stay on the topic. Okay, and he said, can you do that? They'll say yes. Okay, he'll mic them back in. Then exactly the same, and they get louder. Okay, then he will stop it again, and then he'll say, and chairpersons have done the same exact thing, and then we'll come back, and it'll happen over a process of 2 or 3 times. Then they'll finally just silence their mic for that bill alone, and they've had numbers and numbers of opportunities. So the narrative they want to give is we've been silenced, we have not been given opportunity. They're given multiple opportunities, even when we're talking about a certain bill. Then even as far as that's concerned, Speaker Sexton will give them numerous opportunities, and when they finally show, and sort of the end result will be, then he'll kill their mic, and then what they do is scream and yell and try to get the gallery to join in and to riot type behaviors and just anarchy, and so everything that we do in public, we have a set of rules. It doesn't matter whether it's this radio station, you have a set of rules that you abide by, whether it's coming to work on time, whether it is something that you're not going to get a megaphone and start a protest and this and that. Well, you may say, well, this is a private business. Well, schools, exactly the same way. You can't let somebody, as a former school teacher, you can't let somebody get up in front of a classroom and start protesting. It just everything, it violates everything about civility. So there's a lot more to this story. And one other thing that I want to mention is this, and Senator Lowe will talk about this a little bit, but when our vice president came to Nashville, she had all kinds of opportunities to reach out to these families. It wasn't about the families. It was about supporting these, and because they felt like they didn't get their voice on whether it was gun legislation or whatever. And we haven't even made up our mind when it comes to a great deal of that. We haven't even gotten to some of that. So we're going to be looking at all kinds of things to make not only schools safer, malls safer, and the citizens of the state of Tennessee. I think that's our number one thing, is we as legislators should always be concerned about the safety and welfare of the state of Tennessee. So
we are joined by our local legislative delegation, Senator Adam Lowe. What are your impressions of all this?
Well, thank you, Steve. First, I've had about, I think I was counting this morning, upwards of 200 emails. People who oftentimes want to lecture me on the Constitution, but don't understand that I'm not even in that house. Right? We are bicameral chamber.
He's the lucky one.
Yeah, I'm the lucky one.
He didn't have to do any of this.
So what I'll say is brush up on the system of government as you work to reach out to those who can have influence on a vote. I have had I'll call it a luxury in this instance of being able to observe more than participate. But we deal with some of the same issues in the House. First, let me commend our legislators on having constructive conversations around school safety. When you get into the halls, you realize we've not lost focus. The focus is still there. How do we keep our kids safe in school? We haven't gotten into the weeds on demands. We haven't taken anyone hostage. We haven't paraded families and children as shields in a political battle. We've had a very laser-focused initiative of protecting schools. And that's what you saw in the school safety bill. And that's what you're going to see going forward. Millions of dollars poured into aiding and supporting law-abiding people with resisting those who want to break the law. That's how laws work. The law-abiding stand against those who want to break the law. So first and foremost, know that we've kept laser focus. We've not forgotten the families. We've not forgotten the 3 children and the 3 adult victims from this shooting last week. And it pained Kevin. He's heard me talk about it. I was angry for the first time in this entire situation when I saw the Vice President of the United States come to this state, a rare visit, to Tennessee for the purposes of political posturing and activism to not even so much as give a courtesy call to the families of the victims, to only reference them as tools in a public debate around gun control. It's unbecoming of the Vice Presidency of the United States. Frankly, it's disgusting to see when those of us who are working for school safety really try to keep the victims in mind here. Again, being able to look from the outside in, all I can say is 1976, the President's Men, all the President's Men, key phrase, follow the money. Follow the money. You have people, and I'm not just going to isolate the ones who were up for expulsion, but there are many, many people who work in Nashville for the purpose of personal branding and advancement. I've been very clear, some of the watchdog media organizations are the new televangelists. Keep everyone scared and collect their money. Mm-hmm. And this is no different. You have career activists who did not come to the Tennessee legislature to be legislators. They came to be activists. They're in the wrong environment, as we've seen. The national media, CNN, those folks, they love them. They're the darlings, right? They're out there raising more money. When I say raise money, I'm not just talking about campaign money. I'm talking about they are raising personal money and have for ages. Meanwhile, I come back home to Southeast Tennessee and I send 5 of the most precious things in my life into those schools every day, my 4 children and my wife. And it requires me to keep laser focused because I don't care about those personal brands people are building. I don't care that their goal is to be the next Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson or Barack Obama or Joe Biden. I don't care about all that. I care about the fact that the 5 things in my life that I ran for, that many other people have in their life, their families, still go into those schools every day. So I hope that now that they've achieved the level of celebrity that they sought, we can kind of get back to the work at hand.
Representative Howell.
Thank you, Steve. I just want to say we all three have had a lot of emails, as I mentioned earlier, and all kinds of media accusing us of racism. I just want to let people know that I think I can speak for Kevin in this instance, that we voted to oust these 3 based on the content of their character, not on the color of their skin. I believe Martin Luther King said he hoped that we would get to that point in America. That's exactly how we voted, because Justin Jones has an arrest record, 14 arrests. 14 arrests before he got elected to the House. He was arrested for throwing hot tea on a former Speaker of the House. He has been arrested for assaulting a trooper, Tennessee State trooper. Their character has proven to me that they do not deserve to be elected to one of the highest offices in the state of Tennessee.
I want to, we're joined by our local legislative delegation. I really appreciate these gentlemen coming in. They're on their way to Nashville once again to pick up the session for this week. I want to remind you, if you're just joining us, we did have a very timely interview with Speaker Cameron Sexton of the House at the top of the hour. If you missed it, you can go back and watch it, mixtv.tv. But I want to go to a question I asked him, and I want to specifically go to you gentlemen in the House. And that is, look, Nashville is going to take up a reappointment today. Mm-hmm. Shelby County is going to take that up Wednesday. If these men are reappointed, as it looks like they're going to be, how do you think they're going to be, first of all, received by their fellow members of the House, number one? Number two is, look, and I asked this of the Speaker, if they do this again, state law is they can't be expelled on the same charge. I'll begin with you this time, Representative Raper.
Yes, sir. First of all, I'll say that as far as being received by their own party, we had heard rumors. I'm not saying this is actual fact, but we had heard rumors that some of their own party were disgusted about the behaviors and didn't support those, but they had to go by party lines when they were voting, which I understand that on a contentious issue like this. And the next thing is, as far as being received by fellow Republicans, I can speak for myself, and I think I can speak for Representative Howell. I mean, they will come in and we'll be business as usual until they start. If they start the same rhetoric over again, then we'll try to deal with that the best we possibly can. So, as far as I'm concerned, hey, I'm not a grudge holder. I want the best for the House of Representatives, not just those people or not Republicans or anything. So,
I have no doubt, Steve, that they will be reappointed by their commissioners. But I believe the House has the authority to decline to seat them under an appointment. I believe that's true. We need to check the Constitution on that. So there's that out there. But of course, they will be reelected coming up the next special election or in 2024. We cannot refuse to seat them if they are elected. However, you mentioned they can't be expelled twice for the same crime. They've been heard on one crime. We expelled them for that crime. If they commit another crime after they've been reseated, they can be expelled again. So I believe that our leadership will stand strong. We have a determination by, I think, a good majority of the legislators in the House. And we're determined to not let the decorum of the House and the rules of the House be violated and slip into chaos.
Senator Lowe, got a final word from you.
Sure. Listen, it speaks against that whole national narrative that this was trying to get rid of a bunch of people. Everyone knew they were coming back. I mean, you talked to Hall's House of Representatives, senators. Nobody in the know was under the delusion that this particular expulsion would rid the legislature of a couple of key individuals. We knew they had support in their tiny little districts. We knew that they were able to win that support and it would rally it. We knew they'd raise a lot of money on the back end of this. We knew they would get celebrity, and I say we as the state of Tennessee. Anybody in the know knows that they're coming back. So that national media narrative that this was actually trying to silence or exclude them is not accurate. What there was a clear attempt to set a new standard for everyone when it came to how you get things through. You pass bills to affect change in government. No bills were presented or have been presented. This is the argument I have with some of my Senate colleagues. You gripe a lot, you have the rhetoric, but you don't have the pen to draft the bill for us to consider. We don't. You accuse us of not doing things that you've not asked us to do, that you've not asked us to vote on. So I hope when they return that they'll receive, at least in the cloud of all the celebrity, a little bit of the message that if you want to affect change in Tennessee, draft a piece of legislation, put it forward, let it be judged on the merits of the work, not how eloquent or how big your brand is in a space. And I looked at what happened a week ago when the initial offense occurred, and a lot was where you're disenfranchising my 70,000 people. But 70,000 people in Nashville and Memphis do not get to consume all of the space for the other 3+ million people or 7 that we have in this state. And I represent 210,000 people. If I was to get in and grandstand in the Senate and take up all the time, that's a complete slap in the face to the rest of the state. So I think everybody wants everyone to speak, and I want them to think that they should give everyone else the courtesy to speak throughout the legislature. And if you want to speak, and you want to speak clearly, put forth legislation to get something done.
And we'll give the final word to our senior member, seniority. Seniority.
We call him Pawpaw.
Either way.
Either way,
I qualify either way.
That's fine. Dan Howell.
I own it.
Dan Howell will give you the final word.
Well, the national media is not talking about this, Steve, but no one has really, they think it's just a peaceful protest. Let me tell you what happened the day after the Monday session when there was a huge protest in the gallery. The day after, we didn't have session, but these three, at least two of them that we know of, led about 300 people into the Capitol. And, of course, they had to go through security. And according to the security personnel, about less than 100 of those had Tennessee IDs. These were out-of-state people. Most of them were, we believe, evidence that they were paid. Not only did they go through security and they were not from Tennessee, but the security confiscated knives, pepper spray, bear spray. They filled up a security tub full of that stuff. So they were there to cause chaos, not to have a dialogue.
Gentlemen, I appreciate your thoughts. I appreciate you coming this morning. We've got a very busy week ahead, and we look forward to hearing more from you as this session goes along. We're going to have to take a break right here. When we come back, we'll have much more on Mix 1041. We're back on Mix 1041, and if you missed any of this since 8 o'clock this morning about what is really a major national story at this point, go to mixtv.tv. That's mixtv.tv. We're back in a moment. Mark Shepard, Shelter Insurance, 2334 Keith Street, Cleveland. Call 423-339-8777.
Hey, it's Josh with Wholesale Supply. Our team members have been serving the Southeast with the best plumbing, electrical, and HVAC products for the past 75 years. Founded in Cleveland, Tennessee, Wholesale Supply has everything you need, from water heaters to kitchen faucets, from lighting to septic tanks. We literally sell it all. Don't believe me? Stop by one of our 32 stores across the Southeast and check it out for yourself. And tell them Josh sent you. And remember, Wholesale Supply is open Monday through Friday and open to the public.